In a few minutes, the webinar will start. Just a few minutes and the webinar will start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new webinar from PWA. First of all, I would like to thank EUTOPIAN founders and members for helping us to organize this shared event. For who doesn't know, EUTOPIAN is a no-profit, independent, and inclusive observatory on democratic innovation. And we really need both democracy and innovation right now. So I strongly suggest you to go and see their website since they are promoting many interest projects. But right now, let's start with the main topic of tonight. We have 4 amazing women with us, so I thank them all for being here. And I would like to start with the basic. What STEM stands for? It's very easy, probably. It means science, technology, engineering, and math. And we all know that these are all fields from education to careers where there is a big lack of women. But to really understand the scale of this phenomenon, I would ask to Flavia Marzano to share with us some figures. Flavia, please, can you tell us more about it?
Thank you very much indeed. I'm very happy and proud to be here. Let's just start from what I have in my background. Is a bit sad, but I have to say that is a seat taken dedicated to all women victims of violence, and we want to reserve this seat for them. So one seat for them. So now let's switch to something more, let's say, light. And we will talk about, women in STEM. I would say, yes, we STEM, in the sense that we have to, and that's our main goal. And this is a lesson learned from data on women in STEM. Data is I like very much data, and I think that we have to start from them before to take any kind of decision. And this is, I'm sick of acronyms, and that's one acronym for today, WISE, Wise Women in STEM Education. And I think that we really have to work on that. I really prefer people saying, why not, instead of people saying, yes, but. So I prefer say that I'm a why noter instead of a yes, butter. I'm a computer scientist. Nobody's perfect, as you know. And this is the keyword of my life. And I'm working in different places. And my tags are open source, open data, smart land, equal opportunity, SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Without women, we would not be here today in this video conference. So it's the base of computer in the world. All women, don't forget that. But let's come back to data. And let's come back to data based on SDGs. Okay, so the fifth goal is gender equality. And we should base all the policies in gender equality based on this issue. This is unfortunately the information on DAISY, the report on technology in Europe. And you see Italy is not exactly in the best place there. It's still even worse than last year. And this is another terrific issue, thinking about human capital dimension. So talking about internet user skills and advanced skill, we are the last in Europe. So we have to work on that, right? This is a data on human capital indicator. Female ICT specialists, as you see in Europe, is not really very high. But this is a comparison which is worse. So we don't have so many ICT specialists, but we do have less female ICT specialists. It's really easy to see, looking at the graphs, it's easy to understand. And talking about doctoral degrees earned by women, as you see, we're talking about the last 50 years. So the last 3 is just a small data talking about, but engineering, computer, and physics, doctoral degrees are down there. Even in science, as you see, all the other science are better. So I think that we have to work on that. Proportion of women scientists and engineers in Europe. I show Italy where it is. Only 3% in the world of ICT graduates are women, only 3%. Only 35% of higher education students are working in STEM are women. 30% of scientific and technological researchers are women, 1/3, and 1/4. If you look that on women in technology, and it's really sad. I don't know how to say worse than that. And also this data, you can see it by yourself. I don't have to explain it. Is just the imaging is very clear what we mean. And this is the worst information I have to give you. Age of 6, girls already consider boys much better than them in smart activities. So we have to take our children since they are really young, less than 6 years, because they will never say stuff like that. But it's our fault. When we grow up, young boys and young girls, we have to teach them that there is not, it's not so serious, this kind of information. And this is a percentage of female in computer science. When I was in university in 1973, many years ago, in computer science, as I said, we were roughly 50-50. In 95, as you see, it was 37%, and now is 18%. Why? I probably need a person, as expert in, well, maybe sociology. I don't have an answer to that. The world needs much more expert in AI, in ICT, in any kind of technologies, and the percentage of female is getting lower. Look at that. Data and artificial intelligence engineering and cloud computing, look at the place of women there. 26% AI, 15 engineering, and 12 cloud computing. Wow. And women are strongly underrepresented in the digital economy. There are other data, but I mean, you can use these slides if you want. So I just go on because I would like to maybe interact much more with others. This is another terrific information from the Global Gender Gap Report 2020. None of us will see gender parity in our lifetimes. Wow. And gender parity will not be attained for 99.5 years. So we should work on that now. The future should start now. And well, sometimes I have the idea that could be the solution, but it's not the solution, of course. It's not a bomb, the solution. We are not fighting, we are not making wars, we're doing something else. The other solution is that this information, for instance, 60% of primary school children will end up in jobs that do not exist yet. So now we could do something for them and make women, young girls now be able to be there in the future. So what we should do? We should stay aware, awake, accepting, attuned, of course. And this is the synthesis of what we really need. And I don't have anything to add. This the UNESCO solutions in UNESCO proposal change the perceptions, first of all, starting from young girls, as I said before, attitudes, behavior, social norms. We have to engage girls and young women in STEM in the beginning, in the school. So when I said, yes, we STEM, I would like to say that we could be women empowerment in STEM. We have to work on that. Attraction, access and retention of women in STEM. Gender equality in career progression, of course, for scientists and engineers. Promote the gender dimension where? In research content, wherever. In all the agenda, in political agenda also. There must be some political issue very strong. Talking about the recovery fund, we have to put a lot of money to help women in being in the future, not just to stay home in the next 200 years. Promote gender equality in STEM-related policy making, then. Promote gender equality in science and technology-based entrepreneurship and innovation activities. So I really believe that together, as tonight we are doing, together we can do it, together with all stakeholders. So the policymakers, associations like PWA or EUTOPIAN, universities, enterprises, universities and research centers, together we can do it. We should never give up, and starting now is time to do it. Thank you very much indeed. Of course, I'm here for any question if it is necessary.
Thank you, Flavia. I think it's what you just said, it's astonishing. On the other side, the reason why we are here tonight is, first of all, to let the other aware of the scale of the problem we are actually living, and our children and nephews, whatever. But it's also to give a message of hope, because going through your slides, I took out data. You said that only 1 out of 5 people, it's a girl. And if I'm here tonight and if I call all of you to share your stories, it's also because I would like to share with you the results, the amazing results that some women can produce and can achieve. And that is why I really insisted with Agata Quattrone to be here tonight and to share her personal path, because I think this could be an inspiration for all other women. Agata, could you tell us more about your story and your path?
Thank you, Gaia. Thank you also to PWA for this well-organizing and meaningful conference. Just a minute, I try to connect my screen. I hope you can see me now. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. My story begins in southern Italy, in Reggio Calabria, a lovely and charming city rich in history and natural beauties, but a city that today suffers a difficult span given the weight of a 30-year debt inherited from a 10-year series of maladministration, culminating in a dissolution of the city council for mafia infiltration, limited employment prospect, the absence of private investors, limited accessibility due to the inadequate services and transport infrastructure, and patriarchal culture. Young people, and especially young women who care about their future and their dignity, find and study one of the few opportunities for redemption for themselves and for their homeland. When, after 5 years of classical studies, I had to choose which university to attend. I let myself be guided by instinct and the passion I always had for science, mathematics, and technologies. No one in my family has followed this path before. I chose a STEM university. I studied civil engineering and a PhD in transportation. And when I enrolled in the first year of my course, on 200 freshmen, only 10 were women. Some dropped out after the first month of pre-courses. This is in perfect line with data that Flavia showed us before. I spent my days between lectures and study, spending time in the student lounge where I was the only girl. Over the years, we grew in numbers, but we remained always in a clear numerical minority. There was no shortage of ironic jokes from male colleagues about my limited abilities, even in college sports. I challenged them with derivatives, integral and set of table tennis and fantasy football. And I always had a smile as an answer, as you can see in the picture, which could be more explicit than 1,000 words. I won over the prejudice of my colleagues, earning their respect and their affection. In the end, as stereotypes fell, I was one of them. The colleagues of my year proposed me for student representative on the engineering faculty board and was elected. I graduated in 2004 with a thesis on intelligent transport system for local public transport, and I continued my research activity in the university lab, majoring a PhD in transport and logistic engineering. The laboratory was a training ground for life. It was hard. The research activity was carried out seriously with national, international collaborations, and the results were recognized and published in scientific articles and presented in conferences of great importance in the scientific community. However, at the end of my studies, my hometown did not offer opportunities for growth and affirmation, even in the research field. Despite the delays accumulated by my city, it was not possible for me to give then a contribution to its growth, and the realities were difficult to accept. But the innovative scope of the topics dealt with and the experience gained in a growing sector as that of digital services for transport and mobility did not take long to open doors in the job market. Although I had always told myself that I would never leave my city, the time came for me too, like so many before me, to leave everything: my family, my loved one, the friends of a lifetime, and my beloved sea, and follow the opportunities that present themselves to me away from the place where I had been raised and trained. Rome became my second home. On the departure from home, I remember I was terrified, convinced that I was vulnerable and unarmed. But my STEM studies and research in the laboratory, it trained me to hard work, team working and open confrontation, respecting deadlines, methodical organization in work, problem solving, computational thinking. Thanks to the STEM choice, I had the opportunity to work in an innovative reality in a very stimulating context, collaborating with the main institution and big players in the field of transport and innovation. And despite my initial fears, I became a useful and supportive element for the staff that was involved in the creation of the National Digital Platform for Logistic and Freight Transport of the Italian Ministry of Transportation. Rome has been for me the playground of growth, of close confrontation in a highly competitive environment. It was always easy and smooth. It often happened that I would felt uncomfortable in a meeting. It can still happen to me nowadays too, where the participants are mostly men in suites and there are a small number of women, most usually never in position of responsibility. It will have happened to each of us to receive an appreciation from a colleague, as polite as it could be, about the blues you wear or a new haircut, maybe with the best intention, as if this could help to make a tease in what would be an obviously male environment and rebalance the situation, restore the dignity of our role, relocate us in a dimension more suited to our nature. Then I learned that in order to gain the word and the space necessary to propose one's ideas and solutions for the future, it is necessary to enter into the merits of the issues, technically and competently tackle the issue under discussion, deepen and keep up to date, stay on the frontier of innovation, use detailed data and elements to overcome prejudice without being intimidated by the context, by an old cliché. My working activity suffered also an abrupt stop after the birth of my son Francesco. Upon returning from motherhood, the company gives me the letter to inform me that my contract is not renewed. I find myself made redundant a summer's day with a home loan, a family, and a 7-month-old baby to grow up. Fortunately, my armor was thick, my curriculum was solid, and my sectoral skill requested on the market. So I don't let myself go. In a short time, I get back on track. I start my activity as a project manager and consultant and take part in several digital transformation projects, always in the field of smart mobility. In 2014, an unexpected and shocking phone call arrives for me and my family. I am offered the role of councillor in my hometown with the responsibility for sustainable urban development, transport and innovation. A technical figure was needed who is a woman to respect the gender quota in the council. A precious opportunity to make my contribution. Finally, a chance arrives to help my territory, to put my skills at the service of my city. I have no hesitation. I take the moment. My city needs me. I become a commuter from Rome to Reggio Calabria. 700 kilometers divide my roles of mother and wife and of local administrator. Thanks also to the strong support of my lovely family. It was a challenging experience, which I have faced with an enthusiasm spurred on by the boundless love for my hometown. The occasion was special to learn about public administration in a difficult context, refractory to change and to deepen every aspect of innovation. I made my honest contribution to the digital transformation of Reggio by coordinating a group of enthusiastic, capable people with whom we took up the challenge, which was firstly cultural. In just under 2 years, we were able to restart the planning process, adopting the long-awaited strategic plans of the city, the structural plan, the sustainable urban mobility plan, the informatization master plan. And we obtained the founding of a driver's metro and the intermodal parking for 1,000 cars. We have carried out projects in the field of energy and sustainable mobility using the funds of PON Metro for the renewal of the local public transport fleet, the hybrid bike sharing system, the green regeneration of the city lighting system and public buildings. With the same funds, we have also carried out projects on the the digital agenda, the open data platform, e-government services developed with open source software, including the one-stop shop for urban planning and Segnaliamo Reggio Calabria, a digital platform that gives citizens the opportunity to communicate these services to the competent municipal offices directly by an online platform. We have organized moments of animation and discussion on the issues of sustainability and innovation to involve citizens and stimulate them to discuss these new issues as a driving force for development. In particular in the innovation sector, Reggio Città Aperta, 3-day event on the digital agenda with coding and professional training for young women, the first city hackathon on open data, Changing PA, a working day on the digital transformation of the public administration. I have faced difficulties related not only to gender, but also to the disparity of geographical rights. I still believe that I do not receive equal treatment proportionate to my competence and the experience which I have gained in terms of position and wages. But I am aware that I have earned on the field every result without shortcuts or help, and this is priceless. Without surrendering to a stereotype, I followed the path I wanted. Without letting a backyard and conservative environment discourage me, I achieved the goals I had set. Without fear, I faced the challenges and seized the opportunities, and this allowed me to achieve something good for my community. A sign that it is essential not to step back and let a repulsive context awaken you, but to keep focus on the competence and certainty that comes from commitment, to overrule those conventions which set a limit to the fundamental role that women can play in order to introduce innovation and a more than ever necessary gentle digital transformation. For these reasons, I am convinced that women of the NextGen EU can lead the road for innovation. In a recent speech to the European Parliament, President von der Leyen explains that she has still impressed the image of Carola and Vittoria playing tennis among the rooftop of Liguria during the COVID lockdown. She said, "It's not just the talent of the girls that sticks out, it's the lesson behind it, not allowing obstacles stand in your way and always seize the moment." This is what Carola, Victoria, and all the young people of Europe teach us every day about life. So we women, don't let all convention hold us back. We have to take the moment to make our contribution to give a chance for the future of our Europe. I conclude. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Agata. Thank you very much. I think, first of all, you have an amazing path and it's worth really to hear it. But I was really happy to hear you saying that all your success was reached not through shortcuts, but through a curriculum that was solid. This was something that really kept my attention, because in the end,
my small contribution to instill the seed of change in different people are today committed and bring forward the projects that we planning those years. And this make me proud and hopeful for the future, of course. Thank you.
yeah, and you talking about merit is something that really keep my attention, and something we're gonna talk later more with Francesca, I think. And Now, I would like to introduce to everyone Luisa Scarcella. Luisa, you are one of those young women Flavia and Agata referred before, who decided to be aware and who dare to combine something that is very special. So it's a human background, because you have a law degree, with more technical skills. Would you like to explain better what I'm talking about?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much, Gaia, for the invitation. It's an amazing honor and pleasure to be here today. I was very moved by Agata's story, so I tried to do my best and give you an overview of what my path was like till now so far. So I'll just share the screen now. Okay. It's charging a bit, but you should be working now. Okay, good. So as you can see from the title of my presentation, and as Gaia already mentioned, I have a background in law, but it turned out that I was very interested in new technologies as well. I was very fascinated by both subjects since I was a kid, actually. And during my PhD, I found a way to combine those two interests. But I would like to go a bit in depth on how these interests came alive. So when I was a kid, the first Christmas gift that I can remember asking my parents, so we're talking about 1996, was a desk. So parents were very surprised. And now thinking about it, I might be surprised as well, but I really enjoyed this desk. I was spending there a lot of hours drawing and looking at pictures and books. I loved books. And I was very interested in general on understanding how our community works, how we live together, which are the rules that make sure that everybody can live together with the others and everybody feel well together. And I thought, like, growing up, that I could find some answers by studying the law. So studying the codes that have been ruling our society so far, and our community and our economy. And it's been an amazing journey. I am very happy that I studied law back in college. And those 5 years were super interesting because I partially found some of the answers. But right now, if I want to look at how society works, how our economy works, how we can live together, of course, I need to look at new technologies as well, because they're everywhere and they're influencing our society and economy as never before. So even if I started to be interested in the traditional codes, or what I would like to call traditional codes, I found out that in order to find the answers I was looking for, I needed to look at other types of codes. And so I started to look at new technologies and ranging from blockchain to artificial intelligence to, well, data science. I was like eating books and blog and everything I could find on the topics. Because as I said, as I mentioned before, during my PhD, I started to look at how, in particular, tax law, so my specialization is taxation, our tax law would play a role when look at the digital economy. So looking at how new technologies can be used by tax administration to prevent tax evasion, tax fraud, and how to guarantee at the same time a good level of protection of fundamental rights, such as privacy. But I was also looking at how the digital economy could influence our economy, and some people would be much worse off. And so we need to look into and take into account the distributional effect and how the welfare state can cope when new technologies challenges some of the economic paradigms, and how the rules that were governing our society and our economy so far should be transformed in order to keep up with the technological pace. So I also became aware that I could not learn everything on myself by myself. So I need to ask for help. I think this was a main challenge at the beginning, because you realize you don't have the skills, because you're like having approached these kind of issues from a different perspective. But you also realize that when you want to deal with the issues arising from the digital economy, you need to know the technology and the basics. So what I tried to do is, while I was studying in Graz during my PhD, which I've done at the University of Graz in Austria, I start to contact people from other departments, from the technological university, but also from my old university that were working in different faculties, so the engineering faculty or the informatics faculty. And it turned out that they were very friendly people, answering all my questions, and very happy to answer every kind of doubt that I have. And those discussions that we had together were extremely helpful to give me a solid understanding of the technologies I was dealing with. And I started to even code myself. So I started to try to be more involved also in the technological part of the studies I was doing. And I think what I was trying to I would like to convey today is basically that if there are people listening today that don't have a STEM background and they're interested in new technologies, you shouldn't be afraid to ask and communicate with other women or people, experts working in the field, because it might be that really technology can be a really helpful tool in your work, or as in my case, you need to look at different research questions. So reach out. And it's not a secret that while you can be very good and an expert in your field, you always enrich your work and your research, in my case, while cooperating with others. And I have to say that I think it was mentioned both in the presentations before me that I was lucky enough to cooperate and talk to some female colleagues from the engineering faculty, but it's very true that there are still a few of them. And so most of the people that kind of helped me to get a bit of knowledge of the new technologies were mostly men. And I would be very happy to see other female colleagues help me out the next time. So I think cooperation with other women or with experts from other backgrounds is essential, and it's a good way to get used to new challenges as well. On the other hand, I think what was the other challenge was to try to put some new glasses on and see things from a different perspective. Because of course, when you have like a certain background and you're used to look at questions and things that happens in your daily life from your own perspective, it's also good to adopt a different viewpoint and start to look at things from a different angle. And I think working with people from the technology and the STEM sector in general, it's very helpful to see things differently, even the methods that you use for your daily research approach, or even the way they deal with publications or conferences. It's very different. It's very interesting because you can improve yourself and your way of doing. But I think it was also enriching for them to see another perspective. Because, for example, a lot of people that are working on developing new technologies are concerned about which will be the effects and the impact on society of these new developments. However, sometimes they have some issues in understanding how the rules, keeping it very general, the regulations, how it works, at what level there are competencies, so whether it is at European level, at national level, about intellectual property. That's another area of the law where they have a lot of questions normally. Even though I am not an expert in this field, I was very happy to introduce them to other people working in the faculty, or colleagues that have been working in intellectual property. So by looking at things from a different perspective, from colleagues that you never imagined you would be working with, you can also then improve each other. And so it really creates a nice circle of best practices and new things to learn. And so that was basically my experience so far. I'm happy to answer any kind of questions. I'll be starting in January in a new center, which is specifically dealing with taxation and new technologies. And what can I say is just one of my first questions during the interview was, how does it work with interdisciplinarity? Is there any colleague working from other faculties that is involved in the center? And what I found very inspiring from that center is that they have big cooperations with other faculties, and I think that's the key to look at future challenges. Even if I don't have a background in STEM, I think for me it's a real life goal to get more like knowledge on these topics, and I think cooperating and working with others is the key.
Thank you, Luisa. Thank you very much. It was really, really interesting. And hearing your story as well, I realized how really we do need to get and to gain a new perspective on problems. And this is why I think as the end, it would be wonderful to hear the perception from Francesca, because Francesca, she's an expert of change management and digital innovation. And when I spoke with her, she shared with me a unique approach when talking about digital innovation and combining it with the women and the gender problem. So Francesca, would you like to explain better what I introduced?
Thank you, Guy, and thanks, Luisa, and all the other amazing women that came before me to share their perspective and their story. And I'll hopefully try to share my screen so that we can hear my story, basically, which, can you see the screen? Because there might be some latency. So I was at Google for 12 years, and I was a humanist in a tech engineered, male-dominated world. And now I am a digital transformation advocate in learning innovation and people management. A smart worker long before COVID-19 forced everyone into it. A left-handed that was forced into right-handed by my beloved dad. I'm a creative, multilingual, single mom of 10. My daughter is 10. And you could say I'm a digital nomad now, because coming back from London, I decided to choose not Milan nor Rome, sorry. And I'm back to my hometown. And guess, my daughter's best friend, who's she? My daughter's best friend is a Muslim, black, 12 years old girl afraid of her period, because after that, she will need to wear her veil mandatorily, according to her and her family's belief. The other day, my daughter happily introduced me to a new friend, Julia. He is 11 and declaring he does not want to be named Lorenzo anymore. Given all this, how much do you think from 1 to 10 am I worried about digital transformation, STEM, robots, AI? 2, 3, I think, yes, we are transforming continuously, and digital is a tool, a platform, an enabler, and an accelerator. I think it's a tool, and questioning why women or anyone else is important or relevant, it's like questioning the wheel, the fire, the steam, the internet, the email. We are all digital transformers, and at some point, just plain transformers. I think nowadays everyone, not just any leader, is confronted with the challenge of defining what is digital, what is STEM, what is digital transformation, and how does it apply to our lives, existing business models, different maturity stages, different markets, in such unpredictable time as those we're living today with this COVID thing. Instead, the focus to me should be that of defining the key mindsets that are needed to become a future-fit leader, a digital transformer, a STEM, an agent of change, call it whatever, in the present moment. So again, the future leaders, here is a boy, but honestly, it's a superhero, because that's what we're talking about. We are talking about something that we cannot solve in our generation. It takes, like you saw the numbers, to close the pay gender gap. It takes more than one generation. So it's a tough work for moms, for daughters, for grandmoms and aunties, anything, honestly, because the digital leaders will be superheroes that will be able to thrive in this brave new world. And in time, they will become plain transformers for the rapidity of technological disruption. So the future will not be just about robots, about in STEM, machine learning, the way we know it today. And I think that means like quantum physics as much as energy. And when I say energy, it's not just transportation, it's even personal energy and access to the wider universe, if we want to go back to transport, and to the unconscious mind. What is the bias we are having against ourselves? I was one of the first of taking the bias test, and you guess what? I was biased against women. So women are forged into this. So I think there is a natural way of expanding the territory of possibilities for human transformation, what lays ahead for us as human beings, irregardless of gender, religion, or whatever you stands for in life. So I think the key to become a continuous agent of change in disruptive context, driven by technological, yes, innovation, lays an ability to be leading yourself and leading yourself in groups and leading teams, group of people. So to basically fully thrive in this ever-changing environment, it is essential to understand why is it that we cooperate as human beings. And now you see pictures full of Hamish men. Yes, it is about the project, the purpose, and it is about making explicit what is it that cooperation added to us and how we get good at it. And how do we champions for the people that we have around? So I'd like to open the questions to the panelists, to Gaia, and all the people in the audience to actually understand with them how good are you as cooperating with other people? And thanks. I hope there will be.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a very different perspective from what we usually hear about the problem. And we have some questions that the audience posed to us, but before starting to read them, I would like to be a little bit provocative and ask something to Flavia and Francesca to see their different point of view. Which of you think that pink or gender quotas could be a solution to improve the actual situation?
May I? So,
Sure.
Quota. Quota are not exactly the best thing in the world, but is the best thing to do. We can do something that we can do today. The day when people will be chosen just by competences, at that day, we will not need any more quotas. Now we still need it because the power means mayor or city council, as Agata said, or director of a company. They are not always chosen by competencies and capacity to do something. The day they will do, we will not need any more quotas. For the moment, we strongly need it. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Wow, I don't think I have an opinion on quotas. I do have an opinion on the fact that it is a matter of having right balance of diversity when you're solving big problems to get the perspective of different people. So by applying the quota, maybe we try to solve the problem by putting women in CDA in the boardroom, and it doesn't seem it solved the problem. So like Albert Einstein would say, if you keep trying to solve the same problems with the same solutions, maybe again I would call for cooperation and say, listen, girls and guys, it doesn't seem to work. It is one thing that we can do, and we have a multifarious, it's like a problem that needs to be tackled by different solutions. So I would be open to experiment other stuff by keeping that, because I think we need it. But if you observe the data and the curve, it seems that even women in the boardroom have reduced their impact. And then you have all this amazing amount of data showing that when you have women in the boardroom, then these companies are growing. So it is doing something, but I think it is a too complex problem to be tackled just with that solution. So I'm not sure if I answered yes or no, but I don't think there's a yes or no. There's what else kind of answer to me.
Okay, thank you. And now we have a direct question, I think, for Luisa. And they say, as a woman in STEM world, I have heard so many nasty comments coming from men regarding the pink quota that actually discriminates men. Have you ever had such experience? And what is your personal view and recommendation regarding this topic?
So personally, it's actually connected to the questions of that my other colleague and fellow panelists had answered before. So personally, I never, or like it never happened that someone kind of undermine my presence in a panel or in a research project because I was a woman. It does, however, bother me a bit sometimes when I heard about it, because it happens that you hear about this type of comments. That didn't happen directly to me, but I know from friends. What happened to me is that sometimes I think I can understand that today quota might be an instrument, but as a young person starting to like attend conferences, or like more in the past now, maybe I am a bit acquainted to, but I was actually asking myself if I was there when I was the only woman in the panel, if I was there for a quota or because they have read my work, So, I mean, that's the opposite side of the medal. So when you want to be appreciated for your work, and then you are the only woman there, and you ask yourself, I'm here for the quota, or they are really interested in my work. That's one side. The other type of comment that I would like to make, also following up on Francesca, and on how to solve also this type of issue. I think it starts when you're young. So even like in families, but in school, when there are some type of talk comments, we should like not just give a smile or a little laugh. You should answer, and yeah, just answer. And when you're like trained to do that when you're a kid, then you keep doing it your whole life. Like it happened to me that later on conference, just to be like super open. I don't know if openness can help in this case, but it happened that in a conference, like one told me, we met at this other conference like 1 year ago. You were wearing that dress that was that color. I don't remember now. And my answer was, really? So my presentation must have been very boring, because if you can remember just the dress, it must have been very boring. And so it became red in the face, like this very uncomfortable situation. But I mean, it's really like you have to get the ready answer for this type of comments, and then maybe in the future they will stop. But maybe, I don't know, I'm very hopeful that, and naive, that he will not like make this type of comments for the next female panelist that he encounters in his path. Yeah.
Okay, and so now we have a direct question for Flavia. And it's really related to our city here, Rome, the capital, because Luisa is asking, could you please advise on how to enhance women's participation in decision-making process in our city, Rome? Do you have any suggestion, Flavia? It's a very tricky question right now.
Well, not just in Rome, I would say whatever, never give up. That's the answer. I mean, if you want to participate in taking decision, you have to be there, and you don't have to give up. That's the only way. I understand very well that's, well, it's not easy. It's not easy at all, because we should force in some way people to listen to us. So decision-making process is done by men, and we have to push them in the right direction. Also now, I mean, not talking about Rome, but as I said, the government talking about the recovery fund, the recovery plan. We have to force them to put some money there. That's and to force means all together, because there are women with some idea, some other group of women with some others. We should be all together. We have something in common. Just work on that, not the differences. I mean, you, Gaia, have for sure some different idea from me, and Agata some others. We have something in common. We need to be listen and to be to participate in the decision-making process. We have to work together to do it. So that's what I suggest to any women, since there's more.
Yes, and hearing all your stories and your speeches, I just realized how much it's important that we all realize how we need to ask for help. We need to help each other and not be ashamed about asking it. If we don't know something, or we think something is misunderstood, just maybe speaking louder could be a starting point.
More than that, very often we are saying, I'm not so good in doing that. I'm not so keen on that. Men, they never do that. They never say that. I'm the best in the world, they say. So please, if you are able 10, don't say that you are able 8. You are able 10. Say it and be convinced that you are. If you're not, other people will not come in your direction.
And I think there's a, sorry if I pick this up, there's a big chance to, I mean, I had this person, a male I worked with, and he said to me, Francesca, if you work for free, there's no reason people would pay you for your job. So there's a way of cooperating with people and asking. If I'm not an engineer, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm very good at cooperating, as Luisa was mentioning. I mean, I raised my daughter in open sheer curiosity for everything, and she can do a lot of stuff with that curiosity. Being able to ask, being able to ask for money, ask for cooperation, and of course, never underestimate what's in it, and get yourself paid, and do not work for less than you're worth. And that's painful sometimes. And I see a question in the chat about smart working and how it affected women, because yes, there was this pandemic and I was a smart worker before, and people would question what I would be doing at home. And then in the COVID, everyone sort of struggled with that, because smart working doesn't mean you're not doing anything, but in some cases we're not trained, we're not focused. So that affects our balance, that affects the way we work and our productivity. So to the question, is there any way to improve with smart working? It's yes, the company culture, the people you work with, the trust that you have for the people you work with. And then whenever people ask me, when is it the best time to have this interview? Well, that's morning. My daughter, thank goodness, is at school and I can concentrate better than I would do in the evening. So it is about being straight and forward, and it's not easy, but it's not easy for a lot of people. And it's not just about being a woman or being a man. Young people cannot get paid enough. So I think there's a very good chance to cooperate, even to have that money from the recovery fund, whatever the money will be, to use it and to take to be entrepreneurs, to do stuff. I know amazing women that they just don't come to this talk and they just do business, and they're really super good at it. So I think it's, very pragmatic, because I'm honestly, Gaia knows that I'm sort of a true believer, but in some cases really blunt. And I excuse if maybe I answered a few questions in the chat meanwhile as I was.
It's good.
It's
It's
very
very
interesting, actually. I have been listening to all of you, and I think that my question to majority of the speakers is actually, in a simple way, in a daily life, how do you encourage and support other women to play an active role in a digital era?
If it should be in digital era, well, now more than in digital era, I would say what I'm doing is mentoring, is coaching all the young women I'm in contact in any single field, not just in digital. So if I'm seeing a friend of mine or a young girl saying that, oh, well, I'm not so sure that I will be you must be much more convinced of yourself. So we need a coach. And that's what I'm doing to any single women I'm in contact. A bit gentle nudge to be forced in saying, yes, I'm able to do it. I'm able to do it. I'm able to do it. I will succeed. And they don't teach us when we are so young. They teach us to say, I'm not so good in doing that. This guy will be better than me. We have to work hardly, but we will win for sure.
merit and hard work. I think they are a good solution for everything. So I leave the stage to Girly, our president, to finalize the webinar.
Yes, well, thank you so much. I think now we kind of have a very good idea of what digital leaders look like. Disruptive, very decisive, and I'm sure you've got a lot of female friends who have supported you all the way. And it's so important to be very intentional. And I guess I'm sure Francesca knows pretty much about that, because she has a daughter. And I do have a daughter as well. And I think whatever path we choose in life, it's so important that we help each other. It's incredible how much we could do for ourselves and for the people around us. If we are, we just express how passionate we are in what we do. And I think this type of dialogue, this type of conversation, listening to this type of story really inspires us so much. And maybe tomorrow we could do more, and we could, like what Flavia is saying, and whoever you encounter in your life, whether most especially women, you just tell them, yes, you can do it, because she believes in herself and she transmits that energy to other women. And so for that, really, I thank each one of you, Luisa, Francesca, Agata, and Flavia, for sharing your stories, for sharing tips, actually. And I thank each one of the members of PWA and our guests who participated tonight. It has been really thought-provoking and inspiring. And I think it's never too late to be a digital entrepreneur. It's never too late to pursue STEM. And it's never too late to be a digital leader, even if you don't have a STEM background. This is how I believed. And I hope it encourages each one of you tonight. Feel free to send out your questions. And I would like to invite you on November 9th. We are going to have a speed dating networking connection with SheTech. So this is an important follow-up for this eConference. And stay in touch. And I hope this is not going to be the last time, and the first time and the last time we're going to collaborate with EUTOPIAN. Thank you so much, Gaia, Cristiana, and Marilla, and all the PWA board who have been always playing creative solution to create a program like this. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you to everyone.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Ciao, grazie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.